Whoa! What was that game last night? Because the Florida Panthers, in fight night of the century, was basically just another night, throw back a few thousand years to the Coliseum, because that's what we had last night, because David versus Goliath, with the Florida Panthers taking a 6-1 whooping against the Edmonton Oilers and making the series 2-1, and the Cats from Sunrise are just 2 wins away from winning their second Stanley Cup back-to-back, the first team to do it since their Florida roommates, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they are that much closer to winning, and I have a pretty good feeling that they're probably going to do it. But let's talk all about it. So welcome back to the O Hockey Show, and today we're talking about game number 3 of the Panthers versus the Edmonton Oilers, and the actually craziness that was the game last night. But first, you should subscribe, because I'll be giving you all the updates and reports from every single game that happens and all the best news of the hockey world, so you're up to date and you know everything that you should know. So subscribe, like this video, and comment you did that, and I'll give you a high five. But let's actually talk about the game. So this fucking mayhem that happened last night was insane. So 6-1, of course, and it's all kicked off by the Rat, Brad Marchand, getting a huge first goal of the game, getting his 8th of the playoffs. And this goal right here, to me, it smelled like like the Cats, they're back at home, they have all like the momentum, they won the big game last night, and Marchand of all people, Brad Marchand, who's now the oldest player in history to score a goal in every single first of the 3 games in Stanley Cup final history. Kind of a ridiculous stat, because like, who cares? Like, I hate all these stupid baseball stats that they're throwing at us. The oldest guy to ever score 3 goals in the first 4 games of the game. The first guy who on May 2nd decided to score on a rainy day that happened the first day of October is the first guy to do it since Mike Bossy. Who cares? Like, that doesn't mean anything. Leon Draisaitl's, though, his overtime winner, like, that's a cool stat. But Marchand's first, like, who cares? Like, guess it's kind of cool, but whatever. But anyways, the Rat kicks us off with his 8th goal of the playoffs, and then Carter Verhaeghe with his 7th on the power play, and everything was just sliding downhill. I mean, the game started off already, people just bouncing back and forth off each other, hits and getting scrappy, but once that second goal started, of course, Corey Perry, and of course, there was all the penalties being stacked freaking up. Last night, it was like the Oilers had the second most penalties, I think, ever in like a Stanley Cup final game, like second most or something. Crazy. And there was penalties being handed out left and right and left and right, and only 3 power play goals coming out of it, but there was a ton of penalties on each side. And that's how Corey Perry got his first and only goal for the Edmonton Oilers of the night with his 9th. So the old men are getting the job done, but that was all the Oilers are going to have, because of course Sam Reinhart with a beautiful goal, and then followed up by the most impressive goal of these playoffs so far. Sam freaking Bennett. Sam the Bald Man Bennett. The guy that if he shaved the rest of his freaking face, he'd look like Agent 47. The man kills Connor McDavid in a brutal hit. He then knocks up, I think it was Klingberg, or if it wasn't, then it doesn't matter. Because then he gets a break down the ice, and just a beautiful tap, 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 tap. Oh, forehand, and back in the back of the net. Stu Skinner, get the hell out of my face, you dumbass. Oh my God. Sam Bennett, and it's just, Florida just had it. But story goes on, Ekblad scores a beautiful one-timer goal, and then of course, same thing, Evan Rodriguez just snapped over to him. Pah! Scores against Calvin Pickard, and those are all the goals that were scored last night. But really, the story of last night is a few things. First of all, it was freaking fight night, and the fights were glorious to watch. And like, because sometimes I get a little bit not bored, but you know, sometimes it's like, okay, the fighting's going on, whatever, just get over it, keep playing. But like, they were good fights. They were scrapping. You could tell there was actual hatred and bloodshed going on in those fights. And the Darnell Nurse versus Gadjevich fight, that was beautiful. Seeing the aftermath, those 2 guys bloody, and then Gadjevich's, like, that was pretty funny to watch too. Nurse looking like an idiot with his little hurt lip was kind of funny to see, because man, the Oilers were just getting pounded last night. In this series, they're getting embarrassed. They are screwed, is what's going on. This team is done for, because the Panthers have broken this team. Because if you look in the first 2 games, I would easily say that the Oilers have been the better team in, I would say, in all, 7 periods that were technically played in the first 2 games of the playoffs, of the finals. I would say easily Oilers were dominating those games, but the Panthers, they kept playing. They kept fighting. They would fight hard, they'd hit hard, they'd follow up on their chances, they'd score goals when they needed to, they hung on, Bobrovsky held on, the team was there, they were covering zones, clearing out the nets, they were fighting hard. It might have looked bad for them at times, but they clawed back, they get to 2 overtimes in a row in both games where they were not the better team. But they found their chances and they hung in there and they got out with a victory in Edmonton. This game, though, the hill was getting built by the Panthers. And instead the Oilers, following the Panthers in the past and just climbing up the hill trying to get up there, instead they were like, let me get a shovel and just dig a hole for my freaking self. And that's what they did. There was no fight back. There was no climb back. It was just everything wrong, and the Oilers being distracted instead by the mind games and the foolery that was going on by the Panthers, by all the Bennetts and Marchands and Kachucks and really everyone on that Florida team, because everyone on that team knows how to have that edge to them. And they distract the Oilers. They bring them to a level that they're not supposed to be playing at, and they're supposed to be playing offense, crazy, outrunning, outskating, outmanning, outskilling, every single outing that you can. But instead, they're getting obsessed with these scrappy games, making them all messed up, making them have chances, going for hits when they shouldn't have. They should be playing their tight-knit system, but it falls apart. They give up on those plays, which leads to the Panthers being able to just take a control of this game and make Stuart Skinner look like an idiot. Because the thing about Stuart Skinner is that he is, like I keep saying in these videos, he's above average goaltending, but he isn't a savior. He isn't a Price, a Bobrovsky, a Shesterkin, a Lundqvist, a Quick. He's not any of these kind of goalies. I really don't like Eddie Olczyk a ton. But he said one thing that I thought was pretty smart of him last night, which is that Skinner keeps biting on these plays. And a lot of the power play goals, like you said, like the Verhaeghe one, I think Reinhardt's, Ekblad's especially, there's just a lot of these goals where he's biting really hard. The Reinhardt one actually is when he missed the net, but he should have had. It was wide open. But he keeps biting on these plays. He's always shriveled up over here instead of getting to the other side. And he's just never there to make those crazy saves. While on the other hand, Bobrovsky, on the handful of chances that the Oilers were able to muster up last night, he's like, okay, here we go. Oh, crazy save! And just dives across like a freaking soccer goalie, like it's across the net. And he has to go make the insane save. That is what Bobrovsky's doing, and that's a difference maker. That is shutting down all the momentum and getting those ridiculous saves on them. Or just making it as challenging as possible. Because like the Nugent-Hopkins goal, right? Chance, where he got the puck wide open and missed. Bobrovsky is still there in the play. You see the difference between those missed opportunities. Bobrovsky is somehow making the play across to make that save. Skinner on the missed Reinhardt goal, he is still over here like, well, shit. And luckily Reinhardt misses. But it's just the Panthers have it. And they've gotten ahead of the Oilers. They've completely crumbled. And you can see it on Draisaitl and McDavid's faces. McDavid's getting bullied around by Sam Bennett. And yeah, it's just Skinner is not that guy. The defense has crumbled because they were playing mind games. Freaking Jake Wallman last night. Him spraying the water bottle and his glove getting ripped off was hilarious. But he was being way too chippy last night. Just getting a lot of problems. And same thing for Evander Kane. And you can say what you want about the Panthers being dirty, but it's like the Panthers play dirty smart. The Oilers were just doing ridiculous thing after ridiculous thing. And sure, the Panthers are playing it up, but the Oilers are playing it up. Every single hockey team in the world plays it up. Let's not be kids around here, okay? But Wallman, his antics just like... Well, I forget who was it. Was it Luosterainen, I think, or Lundell, when Klingberg was whacking the guy in the back with the cross checks. He finally falls, and then Wallman's like, "Fuck you," and then just punches him in the face. Like, too many problems by Wallman. And to me, it's just, this is a game that is going to carry over in the next game, and it makes me wonder, because I really thought this is a team that wouldn't fall apart like this after like what they've been through in these playoffs. But these are the first 2 losses they've had since McDavid and they looked at each other, which they didn't look at each other in that loss against the Kings or whatever game that was. Against the Stars. But like, I really thought they had it all together, but this team, like, I think this might be a case of they were on their hot run, and it's just they've been tight-knit for too long, and Knobloch has lost control of that locker room, or he just isn't that kind of coach to keep him reeled in like that. I thought he would have been, but I'm just shocked that when they came back for period 3, that they just did not let up. Because they were only down, I mean, with the offense that team possesses, being down by only 3 goals is not that crazy of a comeback, right? This, like, with McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Kane, Corey Perry's playing incredible. Like, and you freaking Victor Arvidsson, who was a hell of a shot on the 4th line. They can make the comeback of 3 goals, but they get back on the ice and just immediately Darnell Nurse and Kane and freaking Wallman especially just back at their antics, and just the whole Oilers bench just playing scrappy again. Of course, the Panthers want them to play into it, but they're down. They're trying to make them dig a hole, and they do. So the Cats, they just have it. Bobrovsky on their side. Sam Bennett is an absolute beast. Everyone is clicking. Barkov looks great again. And Ekblad has been playing phenomenal. Goose made a crazy good clutch defensive play last night. Schmidt, same thing. Which, by the way, Nate Schmidt has is tied for most assists in the finals right now with McDavid. Kind of nuts. Would never have expected that. But one big question I wanted to answer at the end of this video is everyone's speculation of what Sam Bennett is going to get paid. It is an interesting debate. You have a guy who really explodes in the offseason, in the postseason, especially this one, but this is his contract year. And other guys aren't really coming to the bat, like Kachuk's and stuff, to take over those minutes, and Bennett is the one who's benefiting right now, so he's getting those extra bit of time for playing spectacular. But he's a guy who will forever be a second-line center. He's a guy that will forever in the regular season get, I would say, at most, like a best season 70 points, but usually between 50 to 60 points. He's a guy that always brings fight, though, but he will never be a point-per-game guy, I don't think. But in the postseason, he's super valuable, but only to a postseason team. So to me, it's like, I'm surprised that a team like Colorado didn't wait to see if they could get a guy like him. I know they needed that second-line centerman role, and they go with Nelson, but I don't know. Sam Bennett, I know the numbers, $10 million. To me, with the cap exploding and getting up so high, is $10 million for a really good second-line center that crazy? No. But is that a lot for a team that is still in the win-now mode and getting not handicapped by that contract, especially because of the cap rising, but when you have other problems that you might want to fill, and also guys like Lundell, Luosterainen wanting contract extensions soon enough, soon enough in the future, but by then the cap is going to rise again too. So it's like, do you take that risk at $10 million for a guy that's going to make sure you win? But if you start I don't know. To me, $10 million is a bit crazy for now, but depending on how long the contract is, if it's like $8 million, I think 8 is not crazy. If a Nelson is going to get an 8, I would not be surprised. 7.5. I would say Bennett is worth 8, but yeah, so to me, it's like 10, I would maybe give out. I think you do give it out, and I don't think it hurts you. I don't think so. He's still young enough to make it work, and then maybe if you are we know the Panthers are not prone to making deadly trades, and like with Huberdeau and Weegar, so we know like if they see the future and the hill like truly coming, they could probably send him out. If a guy like Erik Karlsson's contract could be moved, I would not be surprised if a Sam Bennett's can be moved. And so yeah. But anyways, back to the actual game. This series though, I think the Oilers still squeak out one more. But it's hard because it's not going to be next game. The Panthers are winning next game. They'll have a 3-1 series lead. So do they go bit Edmonton and the Panthers have a chance to close the door? Do they do it? I know last year they had 3 chances to, and they had to take till 4th to do it. But I don't know. I feel like this series is not going to 7 anymore. I think this easily could be, if it closes at Edmonton, I would not be surprised in 5. But yeah, still, I've always said it. I think the Panthers are going to win this one, and I'm not surprised. But this crazy game, hope the next game is exciting, and I'm excited to see it. But thank you for watching this, made it this far. Please, I'm begging you to subscribe. And until next time, too sweet, you have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.